Thanks for joining this webinar this morning. Today we are talking about the insurance calculator and some crop planner updates. So this is a very exciting webinar for us to start discussing the insurance calculator within the FarmCommand website. So my name is Chris Kennard, the product marketing manager here at Farmer's Edge. And like I said before, today we're going to talk about some updates within crop planner, but more so within the insurance calculator edition. So as we know, there are definitely challenges with making a crop plan. We want to support our customers in reducing the amount of double entry that is required. We want to help them plan for the season as it does change throughout the season. We also understand that it's difficult to keep everybody up to speed, and that might not only be employees of the farm, but different partnerships or trusted advisors that farmer is working with. And it can also be hard to track a true cost of production. And that cost of production goes beyond supplies. It accounts for insurance or really any cost that farm is accruing over that growing season. And so we want to be able to support in managing that. And so with FarmCommand in our platform, we have this idea of the flow of data throughout FarmCommand and making sure that the data that our customers are producing with our help is being utilized to the maximum to support their efficiency and profitability on the farm. And so when we look at the flow of data, this is really related to our FarmCommand platform, where we all start with the crop plan. And we go throughout the season to get to a point where we can do in-season analysis using different factors like satellite imagery, growth stage modeling, yield prediction, and much more, all to support our profit analysis and our understanding of all the small decisions we made throughout the season, small and large decisions we made throughout the season, have made it to a point where we are being profitable. And so today, what are we going to discuss? First, we are going to discuss the insurance calculator, which is in with the US only. So only our customers in the US or our users in the US will have access to this new tab within Crop Planner. We also going to discuss our introduction of farm expense management and then some additions to our profit summary. So first, let's talk about the insurance calculator. So Farmer's Edge is excited to announce the addition of an insurance calculator for our US customers that calculates premiums at a county and farm level. This feature will provide opportunities to develop customized estimates of your crop insurance premiums and compare revenue and yield guarantees across the available crop insurance products that we have. So what we're doing here is building on our promise on the digital ecosystem that exists. So making it available for our customers to work alongside their trusted advisors and get to the point where we are utilizing FarmCommand to reduce, again, some of that manual double entry, data entry that can take place. And so let's talk about some functions here. There are plan offerings available for area yield protection with harvest exclusion, and area revenue protection. We also have the ability for farm expense management and having that addition available there. And then, of course, when we talk about insurance, that's also a part of our profit summary, understanding our ROI. So what do these plans protect against? We are working to protect against adverse weather conditions like hail, frost, drought, excess moisture, and all of those factors that are out of our control. Failure of irrigation water supply if caused by an insured peril during the insurance period. Fire if due to natural causes. Any plant disease and insects, but not damage due to insufficient or improper application of pesticides, insecticides, fungicides that control those measures, and then also wildlife damage. And we're also, when we look on the right-hand side, corn and soybeans may be insurable if they are grown in the county on an insurable acre. Premium rates are provided. The farmer has a share, and if corn is planted for harvest as grain or silage, and soybeans are planted for harvest as beans. So this is important to understand. What are we supporting to protect against? What crops and how are they insurable? And then what are the actual plan offerings that we have? And so to just review the plan offerings again, we have yield protection, area yield protection, area revenue protection, and area revenue protection with harvest price exclusion. So let's take a quick look within the area and how this is displayed. So within our crop planning tool, we have an insurance calculator tab. Within there, we have our county level and our farm level that allows us to insert our state, county, commodity, status of whether the crop is non-irrigated or irrigated, the expected county yield, our custom price protection area, and then our protected price and volatility factor. Now, as we know, we don't have updated projected price and volatility factor for 2022. And so we do make suggestions for the 2021 price until we have the 2022 price input, which then they will be automatically entered into this area. And so when we're talking about farm level, you're really only concerned about your production history. With county level, you're insured based on average yields for that county you're in, not necessarily what your individual actual production history was. So it's a great user interface. It's very easy to work through getting an understanding of what my plan offerings could be from the county level and the farm level, which is really simplified the use cases in this area. And so just to discuss some of the value propositions, it's really all about the zero effort in requesting a quote. Of course, I can go through and fill in the details, whether it's under county level or farm level, about my operation and allow me to calculate premiums and see a user interface, exactly what we're seeing here in the bottom for each one of these options. Or I can skip all of that manual entry and just request a quote where one of our team members on the DIGIAG risk management team, which is a wholly owned subsidiary of Farmers Edge, will reach out to you within 2 days of you hitting that request quote button. So it's a nice way to be able to gather insurance cost information without calling in an agent, maybe getting an alternative quote within FarmCommand beyond your agent, then also being able to compare different insurance plans at different rates, like from 75 to 85, directly within the platform itself. So play with the numbers for further comparison. The flexibility behind that is a true advantage. Then also getting insights into different counties, maybe leasing land in a neighborhood or county, a neighboring county, and curious on coverage. Maybe I'm going to pick up some land in that area, and I don't have any of my own farm level data to get an accurate result measure. So the evolution of this product is essentially to further our insights into ROI or return on investment calculations. But of course, like I mentioned, if your farm isn't available in the 10 states offered on FarmCommand, or you don't want to manually fill in this information, you can always select the request quote button, where one of our DIGIAG team members will reach out to you within 2 business days. And so what I've done here is I've actually shared some details about DIGIAG risk management. Just mentioning the contact information for DIGIAG risk management. So if you're interested in contacting and reaching out to us, please feel free to jot down the email and the phone number here. Or if you'd like to learn more about DIGIAG risk management, feel free to log into digiagriskmanagement.com. We've got some great information there about how our teams are able to work with our Farmers Edge team, and then also being able to work with our insurance partners as well. So next, let's talk about farm expenses. So this is something that is new to FarmCommand as well, is the ability to not only manage our crop planning information for the supplies that we plan to apply, like seed, chemical, and fertilizer, but also the ability to manage farm expenses. So getting a way more accurate look at what profitability is across that farm. So I can select most commonly used products, or I can create my own by selecting other at the bottom. That covers everything. We've got rent, insurance, custom work, fuel, wages, taxes, trucking. There are so many different values here, and we can enter a cost value, whether that be a total cost or a cost by expense, that allows us to summarize what is going on across that farm. And so when we look at the UI here, we can see a total average of all expenses on a per acre basis, or the total value of all expenses as we've entered in for cash rent or other or insurance or custom work or subscriptions. Maybe it's a subscription to Farmers Edge. Then we can see details of how that breaks down, whether it be by expense or by field. So when looking by expense, seeing a summary of all of the expenses, the totals, the costs on per acre, and then the total amount of acres and which fields those have been associated with. And then a very similar look and feel by field, except instead of seeing a list of expenses, we're going to see a list of fields and then the associated expenses underneath. So I'm very excited about this feature. I know it's something that we've missed for a little while now, especially when we look at the next tab and how this relates to understanding our profit analysis pre-season, in-season, and post-harvest. So let's take a look at that profit summary. So profit summary is something that we've had for some time now. As we can see at the top, we have our pre-season, in-season, and post-harvest tabs. Starting with the pre-season tab, this is when we're using target yield and target commodity price to help us calculate what our expense break-evens will be for yield and price, then also using to calculate our revenue. We can see we have supply expenses. This is all information coming directly from a crop plan. So what I plan to apply for seed, chemical, and fertilizer from that season. And then also looking at farm expenses. So all of the farm expenses that I've added in to the farm expense tab we just looked at. So really what is new here is the addition of the farm expense column, something that we weren't utilizing in previous versions of FarmCommand. And as we move through the season, there are changes that we use within these calculations. So if we think about in season, we no longer want to look at target yield. We want to look at predicted yield, because with predicted yield, it's a more accurate representation of the potential behind that field as we are operating in season. We want to use the actual growing conditions from weather stations, the imagery values, what has been applied on that field to help us calculate yield prediction, and then use those values to help us calculate the expense break-evens, our revenue, then our overall profitability on a per acre and a per field basis. But another slight change here that brings more value to our accuracy of profit calculation is we are no longer using the crop plan information for supply expenses. We're using actual job information of what has taken place. So when we look at that FarmCommand flow of data, we can see crop planning and then job management. Those are really the two only manual data entry points that our customers have to do to get value in all of these areas, but then also receive value in season analysis of yield prediction and growth stage models and some of those features that support us in season. So when we jump back and forth between the two, and I'll just go back to pre-season here for a second, you can see our supply expenses do change slightly because maybe a plan slightly changed compared to what our crop plan said. What we actually applied was slightly different, and therefore our costs were slightly different, and when we want that to be reflected within our profit analysis in season. And then the next tab over here, when we look at post-harvest, is the same information, but this time we are using actual harvested yield to make those calculations. We're still displaying predicted yield, but our average harvested yield is what's used in the calculation. So this is the data set that our CamPlug has collected from your combines or that we processed from the yield monitor. And then again, using our supply expenses from actual jobs that have taken place, we have our input of farm expenses used within the calculation as well. So again, extremely valuable to understand what our profitability will be as we make a plan, as we're actively pursuing a plan, and then after a plan has been implemented as we get to our post-harvest scenario. But of course, the introduction of the insurance calculator is going to play a big part in our ROI understanding as we move forward. So I do want to show a little bit about building a crop plan. So what we've showed so far today as relates to the insurance calculator, farm expenses, and the addition of our farm expense column and profit summary has all been new. And the next few slides here are features that have been around for a little while now. And so this is building a crop plan by application. where essentially what I'm doing to build that plan is adding different applications that I plan to make, whether it be pre-burn, seeding, fertilizing, in-crop applications that may take place, having the name, the target date, which again is just a target, because we know plans do change depending on when we are building that plan, and then having the fields, products, and rates that we plan to apply, which then lets us know how much product we are going to need, whether it be the purchase unit or the application unit, and then the cost per acre and the total cost. So when we look at these cost values, this is what is contributing to the supply expenses when we were in the pre-season tab. But what's contributing to the supply expenses in the in-season and post-harvest tab are these jobs. So essentially creating jobs, whether they be manually created by the user, maybe that's the farm manager or the equipment operator, or our system will actually complete and create these automatically. So we always have track of what's taking place, when it's taking place, the machines and implements that are being used, the supplies, because we've entered those into our crop plan already, and then the ability to add an operator within these as well. So this is the information that is contributing to that in-season and post-harvest supply expense value. We make it very easy to start and create jobs. I can do so by pulling information directly from a crop plan. Like I said, they can be created automatically, or I can use what we call the universal terminal to create those. So making FarmCommand available through the universal terminal on the rate controller or yield monitor, the yield monitor that is already in the cab of that machine, to be able to start and manage these jobs that have been planned ahead of time. So if I've got a John Deere monitor or a case monitor or a TopCon or whatever the monitor is, for the most part, we're able to display FarmCommand on that screen and not have to add an additional tablet or iPad in the cab, as we know, especially with planting tractors, that right-hand side window is getting quite full already. And so being able to manage FarmCommand, whether it be reviewing machines, checking the weather, managing these jobs, that can all be done within the monitor that already exists within that cab. But of course, there are definitely the customers out there that want to look at jobs live in action. So they may want to have their smartphone, or they may want to have their tablet or iPad up on the side panel. And so this is a snapshot of what that looks like when we're looking at a spray job. Of course, there are more details that would be available. This has been summarized to just show fuel usage, but we would show application rates. We can create trials and have trials tracked within the app and our website. So there's lots of different use cases here, much of which we've been documented in previous webinars and we'll definitely discuss moving forward as we get closer to planting season. And so I've got another snapshot here where we're looking at a harvest job. So being able to track a harvester, where we've got average yield, we've got yield by zone. So if a VR customer has production zones without the field, we can see live yield based off of those production zones. Then also look at different treatment polygons and the yield within those polygons. So just a quick summary here. Why use Crop Planner? It really helps us plan for next year. It allows us to turn a crop plan into a job that really makes our profit analysis in terms of the supply expenses more accurate. It ties activities to a profit map. It keeps our records digitally. It keeps everybody connected. Anybody who has access to the platform can create and manage these jobs. It also gives us the opportunity for our US customer base to be able to discuss and understand what their potential offerings are for the area revenue protection, area yield protection, and some of the other offerings displayed there. All right, I'd like to thank everybody for joining today. If you've got any questions, make sure that you reach out. Have a good rest of your day.